Hello, my name is Brittany McManus. I chose to do my presentation today over someone who is always on their phone and how that affects the relationships around them. So as you guys saw on the first screen, I had a term that was nomophobia. To go into more depth of what nomophobia is, it is a technical term that is used to describe a psychological condition when people have a fear of being detached from their phone. So basically, when somebody feels anxiety because they don't have their phone on them or because they're not on their phone. And where the name comes from is no mobile phone phobia. So nomophobia is made up of those terms. So as you guys can see, I chose to add two different displays of nomophobia and the statistics that I found on them. The first one just kind of goes into how much people check their phones and the amount of times that we swipe on our phones. And a couple interesting facts that I was very intrigued by was that the average smartphone user checks their device 80 times a day. That's just pretty amazing to me. And then the average user will tap, swipe, and click their phone 2,617 times a day, and we don't even realize that we're doing it. So for it to tally up to be that many times really is an amusing fact. And it says 75% of users bring their phones to the bathroom. I know that I'm very guilty of taking mine with me to the restroom. So that was something that I found that I related to. On the next photo, and how it speaks on how nomophobia is on the rise, it talks about how 70% of women have mobile phone separation, whereas only 61% of men do. So there are more women who are being affected by nomophobia than there are men. 66% of people sleep next to their phone, and 20% would rather go shoeless for a week than temporarily release their phones. So I find that very interesting. Like, I know that I would choose shoes over my phone, but I know that I am a very, I wouldn't call myself addicted to my phone, but I do like to have my phone near me. It speaks about how 77% of people ages 18 to 24 are nomophobia compared to only 68% of people who are 25 to 34. So I'm 27 going on 28, and I noticed once I had my child, it was easier for me to kind of break that barrier with my phone. I don't need it as much because I'm paying more attention to him. So the rest of the facts you guys can just look over, but I just found those very interesting, and it really kind of opened your eyes to how many of us are on our phones. So some of the different behaviors or signs, symptoms of nomophobia that I found when doing my research was anxiety. It seems that people that have nomophobia show more of an anxiety when they are away from their phone. Agitation, being aggravated if you don't have your phone on you. Disorientation, so feeling lost without a cell phone. Dependence, being very dependent on having that phone on you all the time, even right next to you whenever you sleep. Isolation, kind of isolating yourself from humanity to be on your phone, so creating those online relationships. Headaches, because you're looking at your phone very often, so the light is causing you to have more headaches. Trouble completing tasks that don't involve your phone is a behavior. Checking social profiles constantly just to be on your phone. Sleep deficit, basically choosing to be on your phone rather than sleeping. Lower concentration because you're worried about what's going on social media, on your phone. Impaired relationships, which we'll go into in the next slide. Insecurity and loneliness, basically you are on your phone so much that you become consumed with the public eye, so you become more insecure because you're comparing yourself to those that are online. Poor effort or grades, because you're spending more time on your phone than you are paying attention to the effort that you're doing at work or with your relationships, etc. Psychological disorders such as depression, because you're spending more time alone than you are having human encounters. And then creativity blocks, kind of just being blocked out because you're constantly on your phone. So this slide just kind of goes over the different types of relationships that we can have. We have intimate relationships, which could be romantic. There's just a different level of love in those. We have the work and professional relationships, where basically it's the relationships that you create in a professional setting, such as you with your manager or you with your coworkers. We have the informal relationships, which would be people who you feel a different level of comfort with, your friends, your lovers, your siblings, the people who you would confide in if you had something that you wanted to talk about that was very private. And then you have your formal relationships, which is where you kind of stay on your P's and Q's with these people. You have your elders in that group. You have more respect for that, for your elders, so you keep a different, you speak in a different language, or you don't use slang. Authorities and new acquaintances, you kind of be on your P's and Q's when you meet the formal type of relationships. So to kind of go into how nomophobia affects relationships, it can leave your loved ones and your friends feeling neglected. Basically, if you're paying more attention to your phone than you are the people around you, that sense of neglect comes about, which can create more arguments because of your phone use. So if you're in a relationship and you're choosing to pay more attention to your phone than your partner, that's a lack of communication that can create a lot of issues. They can feel unloved or unheard. It can create social anxiety. If you're so used to the social realm, you can forget how to interact with people socially, which can create that anxiety. The inability to be empathetic or to listen. So if you're on your phone constantly, you're not listening to other people. You're paying attention to what's on your phone. And that can make people feel like they're not heard, and it can make you feel like you're not empathetic to their problems. Online relationships are replacing face-to-face relationships, and I really think that's a scary thing. I know with COVID that it really created more of an online realm, but I feel like the face-to-face encounters are still very important. Ignoring your work task and not paying attention to your surroundings. So if you're not paying attention to the things around you because you're paying attention to your phone, you can miss a connection, or you can miss a friend, or if a stranger's trying to ask a question, it's just you're not acknowledging the thing around you, and the world is such a beautiful place. So nomophobia really can affect the relationships and how you interact socially. Possible strategies that can help prevent nomophobia, this is from research and just some things that I thought up, would be to try to turn off your phone an hour before bed, kind of unwinding from the cell phone, committing to not always being on your phone can help prevent nomophobia. Stop relying solely on your cell phone. So I know a lot of us rely on our cell phones for alarm clocks or setting calendars, and it is a very reasonable thing to do with us having our phones and it being such a big part of society. But trying to not solely rely on that, like maybe buying an alarm clock or getting a calendar, a physical calendar, can help prevent nomophobia. Set a schedule of when to check your phone. So instead of being on your phone all day long, have a set time that you check your phone each day, to where you're not sitting there just checking it all throughout the day. Um, Force yourself to have more face-to-face encounters. So create that human encounter. Don't just keep building these online relationships. Even though the online relationships are very healthy, it is also very healthy to be socially active. Establish phone-free zones. So say that you do a family outing with your family or your children, kind of keep that phone in your bag with a ringer on if you have something important that you're waiting for, but don't make it a priority to have your phone out during those times. And then talk to your friends about cell phone boundaries that you've created so they can help you. So if you're feeling like you're having a problem with the nomophobia, talk about it. Talk about it to your friends or your family or whoever you have to talk about. But don't just keep relying on this online realm, because if the internet was to crash, you don't want to feel a sense of loneliness. You want to have relationships that you can fall back on that are face to face. So even though I feel like the online realm is very important, I also feel like it's very important to have social relationships. And this slide is just my references. If you guys wanted to research more or learn more about this, here's some different things that I got my research from.